So, you were all waiting with bated breath, I expect, for the Texas update. Let's have a look at it now. So, this is how it was earlier today. This is the first one that I found earlier. 15 states. My goodness. It's grown. Yesterday, on yesterday's stream, we saw it had got to like 7 or 8. And it grew like 3 times during that stream. We got 3 new governors saying that they're on board during that very stream. This is 15. This was earlier. And then I found another one a little later as I was scrolling through the prep material. It went up. There's like 3 or 4 more states on this one since the previous one. And then it kept going. And now we're here.
State got involved.
And now we're here. So we have now 25 states, half the union, supporting Texas. Okay. Supporting Texas.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And none against.
I thought it was an against. This is in support of? Let's go.
Yep. None explicitly against. No, as far as we know.
Because who's going to say...
shocked.
So what state is going to say, oh, yeah, you know what? The government should be able to violate states' rights and sovereignty.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to say that.
It would be unwise, but a lot of those blue states are in on that rigged game.
I can tell you the shockifying ones. Is Ohio and Indiana. Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Ohio, Indiana, Virginia, that's insane.
I believe that there's even
crazy.
Several states.
Nevada, even.
Yeah, there's some congressional representatives. There's some Democratic representatives that are like, yeah, this is insane. What are you doing?
If you don't know about Virginia, Virginia is a very confusing state because Virginia is right next to DC, and almost everybody who lives in or who works in DC lives in Virginia. So the fact that Virginia went good on this on Texas is crazy.
Yeah.
And
they were fairly early
Virginia,
too.
so I have a weird that's the only state I ever care about. But Ohio and Illinois
I need to notice New Hampshire is in on this.
New Hampshire, what a weird... Yeah, New Hampshire, what the hell?
There's another state there. You're going to help me which state this is. This one here.
Sure.
Is that not New York, is it? Oh, is that part of Virginia?
That's part of Virginia.
That's part of Virginia, yeah.
Okay. But still, New Hampshire is surprising. Wouldn't expect to see many from up here, would you? But there's one.
So New Hampshire just had its primary, right?
It did. And Trump won by record numbers.
Yeah,
exactly. All of the Northeast Panhandle is so far left, besides Pennsylvania, that it's kind of crazy that anyone would agree with Texas.
So this is a trap that Texas has set up for people. They're waiting to see who doesn't support them and then start busing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm surprised. North Carolina, Kentucky, Illinois.
There's a few on here, yeah.
Kentucky and North Carolina.
Yeah,
I was surprised
Colorado,
Iowa went.
New Mexico, Arizona,
Kentucky, and Kansas. I would expect to support this because I think they're red.
as well.
I think the governor for Kansas and Colorado might be a Democrat this time around.
They
I could be wrong.
They are.
I wouldn't be surprised about Colorado not because I think Colorado's more blue.
But the states that I expect. Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Wisconsin, Maine, Michigan. I said that. New Jersey, Delaware. I get these, but I don't know why.
Delaware,
Arizona, New Mexico,
Biden's home state.
Yes,
got him.
Yeah. No. Delaware has not come out in favor yet.
No, I'm saying Delaware's against.
Delaware's all the way over here.
Okay. Yeah, a little tiny thing.
DE is Delaware.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But the states I was surprised more by were Kentucky, North Carolina, Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Arizona.
North Carolina haven't.
All the West Coast shit I expect. But even the fact that there's anybody on the East Coast supportive of this is insane. Because and there's no reason you would understand this, but how do I explain this? The East and West Coast are both just London compounded. Does that make sense? It's the worst people on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But they live on two different sides of the country.
Yeah. So I can tell you one of the factors is at play at this point. So
I'm trying to Englandize it because
you're not gonna be able to because England's trash.
Wow.
At least
we have county level voting, whereas you guys have county popular votes, so the cities dominate your rural counties. Californians who aren't in LA seething.
Well, we have county votes. We also have
what's the second worst city? What's the second worst city in England outside of London?
Manchester. Well, Manchester's the second biggest. Okay. I'm not actually sure if it's the second worst. There's probably lots of other.
Okay, so one side's Liverpool, England, one side's London, the other side's Manchester. There you go.
Yeah. So the big thing is the reason why you have a lot of these eastern states that are siding with Texas is because a large portion of its African population doesn't like having to compete with illegal immigrants for welfare and
that's the case in Michigan and Wisconsin, Illinois. For sure.
Yeah.
Because Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois are full of African immigrants and Hispanic immigrants. Like, these states are absolutely inundated with them. If you don't know, it's so bad that there's... Well, I'm sure if you've gone through England and you've seen the whole cities where like every sign in the town is in Arabic, that's Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois in U.S., but it's in Arabic. It's in Arabic.
There is that problem. Yeah.
It's those three states.
We got too many Muslims
at this point in time,
committing crimes. You got too many blacks committing crimes generally, and also, of course, the Mexicans. Like we both have a maybe equal share of problems, proportionately speaking, in terms of people who shouldn't be in our country who are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The reason why the other states that are Democrat governor positions is simply because they literally cannot pledge assistance to Texas or support to Texas because it's literally an election year and they're already fragmenting as a party as it is.
Kentucky, North Carolina, Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, and Arizona, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They cannot.
They should.
Well, they can't because they're loyal to the DNC party.
This governor's about to get in 2 years then.
Yeah, exactly. This is a no-win situation, and Texas has played all of its cards right. And
in 2 years, if you didn't vote for this, Kentucky, North Carolina, Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, and Arizona are going
to... They're on the blue list.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of those states had a bunch of weird election issues with them, if you don't recall, last time.
Some of the red ones here did as well, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, but those are the ones that really did.
You know what? The funny part is that
New Mexico, Arizona specifically.
You'll never have to accuse Oklahoma of ever having problems. Not a single county will ever vote blue.
No shit, it's all full of Mormons, which is
that's Utah.
Or so Oklahoma as well.
Call yourself an American.
Yeah. Jesus Christ! Maybe
she doesn't call herself an American
you remember it. Yeah.
Look, I've been away for 4 years, man. Isn't there a bunch of Mormons in Oklahoma as well?
Tell us about the politics of Guernsey instead.
Hey, they might be. I mean, there's also Chinese Baptist churches in Oklahoma.
I guess that's true. It's mostly just in Utah, then I guess. Yeah. That's what the Mormon churches. Yeah.
Yeah. So Oklahoma is just so red that there's no way that any of them will have any voting problems because there's not enough cheating on the planet will get a county to flip.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Based. I don't believe that North Carolina or Kentucky vote though. I don't believe that. Mm-hmm. And I actually don't believe the Colorado, North Mexico or Arizona ones I don't believe them either.
That's what it is.
She means New Mexico. But yeah, fair enough.
Mexico. It's North Mexico, whatever.
Fair enough.
Same thing.
So
Kansas. I don't believe any of those. I don't believe
this is the current state of things.
It is North Mexico.
Yes, this is the current
Hawaii.
This is the current state of things, and there is probably more to come. Now, I did see someone earlier say that they only need, was it like 13 more, some reasonable number of states more to get on their side, and they can add a constitutional amendment with that level of support.
Yes.
So this is huge. Here you've got Texas saying we are not listening to the Supreme Court on this matter. The Supreme Court so far has only issued a very minimal part of a ruling on this, which is that the feds can cut the wire. Texas just moves in more wire. So Texas is essentially rebelling against the Supreme Court, just in a small way for now, but it's symbolic. And then 25 states have joined them. Yeah, the Supreme Court is gonna. I don't think it's gonna risk it. The thing is, unfortunately, they are somewhat political. I would prefer they just went by the book. That's their job. But I think if they were going by the book, they probably would agree with Abbott that the federal government has been derelicting its duty. In fact, worse than that, betraying the nation, sabotaging the nation through the southern border, and that it's the responsibility of everyone to stop that from happening, including the Supreme Court, and they haven't done it. With this, it might be enough to tip that political bias they have into a more of an equilibrium, so they actually read the documents and arbitrate fairly.
It's you know, I'm not a legal scholar. I know nothing. Well, I know a little bit about legal scholarship, but it's the same kind of factor, right? Where it's like I'm screaming at academia to can you please look at this? Please look at this. Please look at this. And they go, well, we don't really care. We don't really care. This is it. It's that on the macro scale. I'm trying, not just me, but like everybody, all of us in academia are, when we find shit, are screaming, and no one pays attention to us. The Claudine Gay thing was very great that we got that resolved, but that was a 1 in a million case. I have instances of this every single fucking day that come across my desk and say, look into this scholar who's done all this shit. I'm like, yeah, well, I can tell they've done stuff immediately because all of it's. I can't believe that it's reality, because it's the same thing that happens in politics, by the way. All these people are dirty.
This is a very white-pilling story, to be honest. This is the Republican governor's statement. This is from the Republican Governors Association, which I didn't know existed. Republican governors band together, issue joint statements supporting Texas's constitutional right to self-defense. Now, this is the 25 governors. There may be even more by now, but this is the 25. And I'll give at least a read of some of it, but it's probably going to be largely boilerplate. Let's give it a read. Washington, D.C., 25 Republican governors released the following joint statement in support of Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Texas's constitutional right to self-defense. The statement comes as the Biden admin continues to attack Texas and refuses to take action or responsibility for the crisis at the southern border. Quote, President Biden and his administration have left Americans in our country completely vulnerable to unprecedented illegal immigration pouring across the southern border. Instead of upholding the rule of law and securing the border, the Biden admin has attacked and sued Texas for stepping up to protect American citizens from historic levels of illegal immigrants, deadly drugs like fentanyl, and terrorists entering our country. We stand in solidarity with our fellow governor, Greg Abbott, and the state of Texas in utilizing every tool and strategy, including razor-wire fences, to secure the border. We do it in part because the Biden admin is refusing to enforce immigration laws already on the books and is illegally allowing a mass parole across America of migrants who entered our country illegally. All true. It goes on. The authors of the U.S. Constitution made clear that in times like this, states have a right to self-defense under Article 4, Section 4 of Article 1. Under Article 4, Section 4 of Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution. Because the Biden admin has abdicated its constitutional compact duties to the states, Texas has every legal justification to protect the sovereignty of our states and our nation. Now, I haven't looked into the relevant law, but I strongly suspect that's true because it would not make sense to put the responsibility of the border solely on one institution. Founding fathers were a bit smarter than that. And then there's the 25 signatories.
For the Republican Governors Association, you're not going to find any more than 25. Because the Senate is comprised of 52 Democrats and 48 Republicans. So it will correspond to, if you divide by 2, it's 26, 24.
Fair enough.
So this is just you're not likely going to find more Republican side, but there could be independent Democrat governors that may come out in the next few days.
That would be interesting,
depending on what the reaction of Biden is tomorrow or after tomorrow, when inevitably Texas tells them to fuck off and the due date is up, because Biden gave them until tomorrow to give them access, which I don't think Texas is going to do.
Yeah, I don't think so, and I hope not. So yeah, very courageous stuff here. I was going to say, it'll be really, really interesting if any Democrat state joins them. Actually, I'm not sure if all of these are Republican. I think they are. Is New Hampshire? I'm not sure. but
I believe New Hampshire is Republican.
Yeah, so it would be very interesting to see if one Democrat turns.
Yeah, New Hampshire is Governor Chris Sununu. Okay. The Governors Association has their state initials next to them.
But yeah, there's some states here where the governor is Rhino by some measures. You've also got Florida, Ron DeSantis, who we're really not sure about, but hey, he's supporting this too, so he at least knows where his bread's buttered. But that's the question, is, are the rhinos supporting this because they really believe it? Are they willing to stand with MAGA against the establishment, or are they doing it because they know they kind of have to? And if they kind of have to, well, that's big for the longevity of this project. Or are even the rhinos against this level of immigration? It might be.
Oh, yeah, because they understand that if they allow this amount of mass immigration, that eventually it's going to reach their state, and that state will no longer be a rhino state because it'll never ship back.
That's a good point, yeah. Hey, if that's enough to get them on side until they get replaced by a MAGA candidate, fine by me.
Yeah.
Next thing we have is, chat, we were all waiting for this moment, and it has happened. Trump has given a statement. Breaking, Trump calls for all willing states to deploy National Guard to Texas border and start the deportations. Yes. That's correct. It's the correct approach. Many state governors have called to support Texas in the border crisis. So, President Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social account that he is encouraging all willing states to deploy their National Guard to Texas. He says, "When I was president, we had the most secure border in history. Joe Biden has surrendered our border and is aiding and abetting a massive invasion of millions of illegal migrants into the United States. Instead of fighting to protect our country from this onslaught, Biden is unbelievably fighting to tie the hands of Governor Abbott and the state of Texas so that the invasion continues unchecked. In the face of this national security, public safety, and public health catastrophe, Texas has rightly invoked the invasion clause of the Constitution and must be given full support to repel the invasion. We encourage all willing states to deploy their guards to Texas to prevent the entry of illegals and to remove them back across the border. All Americans should support the common sense measures by Texas authorities to protect the safety, security, and sovereignty of Texas and of the American people." He says, "When I am president on day one, instead of fighting Texas, I will work hand in hand with Governor Abbott and the border and other border states to stop the invasion, seal the border, and rapidly begin the largest domestic deportation operation in history." Which is, I think it probably would be. He says, "Those Biden has let in should not get comfortable because they will be going home."
I have been seeing some of these these lefty progressive debaters mauling over the fact that Texas told the Supreme Court and Biden to fuck off. Yeah. Like there's a guy named Pisco. He's supposed to be a lawyer, and he thinks he knows like anything about constitutionality, but seems to be on the wrong side of every decision so far. He's like, send in the troops, nationalize or federalize the Texas National Guard, depose Abbott or whatever.
The National Guard probably would just say no if they tried.
Yeah. So currently, right now, Texas is under an emergency order. Yeah. The governor has emergency powers right now. Yeah. And so at this point in time, the National Guard has been activated to defend Texas.
Yes.
That is what the National Guard has been activated for. If the federal government is trying to invade Texas and depose the governor, that is still an invasion.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to go for it. Yeah. So
they're going to have to fight 25 states at that point, potentially. I don't think Biden has the stones to fight one.
Yeah, because at this point in time, with 25 states supporting Texas, if Biden coups the governorship because he thinks that the governor is insurrecting or whatever he claims, that would kick off a Fort Sumter moment, because no red state is going to settle for that result.
Yeah. It really is getting to the point now where, all the naysayers, all the doubters, all the whiners and complainers that nothing ever happens. Every day it's getting harder to support that position, to believe that. And things are progressing at a very rapid speed, considering historical norms, and they're progressing in the right direction. I've been very impressed with the tenacity, but also the ethics of the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. So it's a good time, frankly, a good time for recovery.
there's a concept of slow at first and then all at once.
Oh yeah, slow, fast, fast. I think that was it Genghis Khan or was it one of the other great military leaders?
I can't remember, but basically it's a slow build up until it isn't.
Yeah, fall like lightning. I think that was Sun Tzu.
Yeah. The fun part is that again, Biden. There's no argument that Biden isn't following federal law. He can claim that, but he doesn't get to write law. Like the legislative branch has had these immigration and border control laws in for decades.
Yeah,
there's the secure border law or whatever. That thing is there, and he's been like violating it several times over the last 3 years. So he doesn't have an actual argument to stand on when it comes to anything. And it just looks like a lose-lose in terms of optically and, legislatively.
It does seem to me like he hasn't just been failing to uphold the law. He's been actively ushering in as many people as he can, which reads like me as desperation. So, like many things about our opponent's behavior does read like desperation. The thing with Trump, for example, all those cases are nonsense, but they're doing everything they can to trump them up, to make it seem like there's a case there. I think they are very desperate. And I think, again, hard not to be white-pilled when you look at these indications and when you look at the big things that are happening these days as well, that yes, times are bad. This is an intense battle. We are going through a lot of strife, but it's in the right direction. We have the momentum, and it's basically inevitable at this point that we will win.
And that's why I'm looking forward to it.
We have more on this story too. Let's move on to the next thing. This is Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, one of the many supporting this. Louisiana is right next to Texas, not on the border, but it does have it is coastal. So if they were decided to go across the sea, they might end up here. So it's closer than some other states. This is his statement on the matter.
We support legal, not illegal immigration. We support secure and safe borders, not open border policies that allow criminals, human trafficking, and drugs to pour into this country. We stand with Governor Abbott and Texas in reminding the federal government that under our Constitution, states are still sovereign, and we have the right to protect our citizens.
Not a very inspiring statement, but whatever, he's supporting it as well. It's good stuff. There is one more person who supported it, which should have added another red icon to that map, but didn't for reasons that I think we all know. Carrie Lake says, I stand with Texas. The good people of Arizona stand with Texas. Unfortunately, Katie Hobbs, Ruben Gallego, Kristen Sinema, and the entire Arizona Democrat Party do not. We're going to take our state back from these open border radicals in 2024. Very good. Yeah. I already liked Carrie Lake, but since that audio leak and since the way she handled it, and she also answered questions, we have a video, by the way, of her answering questions about that. I like her so much more. Definitely in my top 3 U.S. politicians.
So here's the great thing. We need 33 states, 33 state governorships, or majority in their legislations, and then we could get that constitutional convention going.
I wonder what the amendment would be.
That the United States government must enforce all like border laws or whatever, and probably remove birthright citizenship and evict illegal immigrants or something like that. So it's some version of that thing.
Yeah, so something along the lines of not only do illegal immigrants not have rights under the Constitution, but they must be deported immediately. It's the responsibility of the government to deport them immediately. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be that'd be awesome.
Of course, they got to follow it, but the Supreme Court at that point would have little choice but to enforce it.
Yeah, but the big thing is that it restricts the executive branch.
Yeah.
From doing key-wacky interpretations of laws, or just not funding the.
It's a good point.
Not funding border the force, execution of them.
Oh yeah.
So that's the big thing, and I think that's the main point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Kaiser Holt, who says all the federal government needs to do in terms of an amendment is to copy-paste the CGL/Games Workshop PR message. Entry into the United States and obtaining citizenry is a privilege, not a right. That's one way of doing it.
I would say removing birthright citizenship is a must. We are so past the point of the Civil War that anybody who was alive during then is dead, and their children are dead, and their grandchildren are probably dead at this point. So we're way past the former slaves are no longer citizens shit. So we don't need to worry about that. Yeah. But everything that the Democrats have been doing has been an optical L. Like nothing they have done so far has looked good, and the only options are worse.
Yeah,
if they want to achieve anything.
Yeah, it honestly, it's the first time I've thought that the federal government just don't really have an option. Like they all this power since Biden got in, they've had all this power, but I'm not really seen an occasion where they haven't had a way to use it that will actually help. Because they've always had an option. Yeah. They've always had a way to use it. But in this case, I don't think they do. If they try and crack down, then it's going to look terrible for them. And Abbott won't go for it. They'll probably start genuine conflict. It might lead to a proper war. If they do nothing, they look weak, and the Republican people will continue. That momentum will be massive. I mean, that is arguably the lightning strike that starts the end of this culture war. And of course, we're only a year before the general, and that will be a massive win for Trump's side, especially because almost all these governors are on Trump's side. It'll be huge. And so the only thing left for them, and I think this is what they're going to do, I think it's pretty obvious is what they're going to do, is try to find a subversive way to deal with it. Try to find some underhanded way, some legalistic way, some maybe like direct action subversive way to make this as difficult as possible to prevent this. And that might present some difficulty, but honestly, it's hard to imagine what they could do that would be effective at this point. Texas has military personnel at the border who seem to be loyal to Texas specifically, a guy at the head who seems to want to do it, and 25 states to back them up. It's hard to imagine what could break that short of direct action.
So if I was, evil and in charge, not in charge yet, but if I wanted to over Texas in what they're doing, Texas only took control of Eagle Pass.
Yeah.
There's still the entire rest of the Texas border. I would just diminish the, security around other areas to the point where they're easily traversable.
Yeah. That would give Texas more to do, but it would also give them more of a reason to bring in more troops, from other states.
Sure, but the issue is how many can you possibly get there? And how much would that cost? And how much time?
Yeah, absolutely. But it is a very good pretense for them to say, like, maybe, we need military personnel from other states. We need militias. We need volunteer military personnel to do this. At that point, everyone in the US who's been pissed off about the corruption for the last 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, suddenly they have an opportunity to do something about it actively in real time. And you get either a massive force of people who are against the establishment arming themselves and getting ready, or you get people who are already armed and ready, joining Texas explicitly against the establishment. I mean, it's hard to think of anything Biden could do that would be effective that would not lead to either civil war or a massive reputation hit.
Or so massive, I don't think
confidence
hit.
Hit.
Here's the big thing, right? I think the DNC would be fine with the confidence hit or reputation hit to Biden.
Sure, but it's the benefit that gives to Trump.
But they want to get rid of him for the general, right?
I'm not sure about that. I think they kind of like Biden. I think as a puppet.
As a puppet, but he's a liability right now.
Maybe so. Still, they're pushing him through the primaries, but I guess they could always change it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If they push him to the primary, right, and then let's just say he dies after the primary. Well, it's too late to do another primary to figure out who's next.
That's true.
So they'll just select somebody.
That's true. I guess that's a bit of a problem if literally no one else runs because the incumbent is assumed the winner, and then they die. I mean, I guess it's the VP at that point, but if he has Kamala again, God, that would be even worse. Kamala's the insurance policy, but I mean, even worse for everyone. No one likes Kamala.
Yeah. So the big thing is that they would, if he dies after the primary is already over, so he's won the primary, right?
Yeah.
but then and everybody has bowed out and conceded, conceded defeat.
Yeah.
They have super delegates. The super delegates will just pick somebody because that's the DNC has that, where the Republican Party does not.
It would be pretty blatant, but they could do it. They are that desperate.
Yeah. Why they care? They're doing overt, blatant things already. Yeah. Why not do more of those? True. Because the Democratic voter doesn't care anymore. They just want power.
Maybe not. Yeah. Yeah. I think the ones there's like probably the majority of Democrat voters are still in this spiral of convincing themselves that their cognitive dissonance is not, that they are in the right, that they're propaganda, because otherwise they have to make such a big change to their life. They have to admit to all their conservative relatives that they were right, and all this stuff is such high effort. That's why you get this. That's why you get this sort of stasis, even at a time of great change like this. But as soon as that thunderbolt falls, as soon as you get to that fast stage, you start to see that. You start to see that changing very quickly. It may be that the real deep intent is more like a 75-25 right now in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun time to look forward to.
Yeah, as someone in chat said, this is the biggest dissent between states that there's been since the Civil War. Probably true.
Yeah, but if you look at all the states that are on Texas' side, if you bring them up, so guess where all the military bases and nuclear weapons are stored?
Those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
majority of all military bases and nuclear weapons are stored on Republican areas because they're normally Republican areas are sparse population centers.
Yeah.
And so that they make good places for military bases and nuclear silos.
That makes sense.
Yep.
The remarkable thing is that, how old is this story now? Like 3-4 days? And half the union is already on side with this. We haven't even heard, there may have been one or two, but it's been very quiet. We haven't heard almost any Democrat states dissenting against this. As far as I've seen, maybe one or two, but 25 states just woof straight up. I don't even if Biden was confident that the military would follow him, even if he wanted to fight these states, I think that's just such an overwhelming force at that point. As you said, all the ICBMs, all the nukes, all the military bases, all that stuff. Like even if they managed to mobilize every other state against the Republican states here, they might not have enough of a force. And with how unpopular Biden is, I don't think a lot of the military would like. There would be massive dissent in the military. You might end up with some of the generals, arguing to follow him, and a small portion of the rest of the military. But there'd be massive dissent. It would be disorganized. Wouldn't be a very effective fighting force. And a lot of the military personnel are from these states, and they might just say, you're no longer part of the federal military. You're now part of our state's military, and you general to order them to join. There's all kinds of things that could happen there, but the organization here is so fast and so powerful and so determined against such an unpopular opponent. I don't think Biden has a strategy to victory here, even if he does go hard.
Yeah. So here's the big thing. Cabal, Kaiser-Holt's also right. They could just devolve the National Guard into state militia formations immediately by the governor's order. He could just preempt it if it's going to come to that. But the big thing is that. Do you know where the majority of federal troops, like military, are recruited from? Which states?
I'm guessing, they're not like NIMBY intellectuals going into the military, are they? It's usually more sort of rough and practical white males.
So I think Texas alone has 23% of the overall recruiting for the military, by itself. Florida and California and New York are the other two major ones.
Which is also the 4 richest states.
Yeah. But they're also the most populated too. But the concept of, okay, you're going to activate the National Guard, which you already know that's from Texas, or you can order the actual U.S. military to go and topple the Texas by force. But the issue is that they're from Texas. You would have to weed out your military, from possible what do you call that? Conscientious objectors first before going in, because you're going to have a lot of that.
I think this is what they were trying to do with COVID, to weed out the people that would stand up to them to a large extent. And they did weed out a lot of people, succeed. But I don't think enough.
Yeah. That's why they have like a massive shortfall that is predominantly made up by white soldiers.
But those soldiers, even if they're not in the U.S. military, they could join any other organization of military personnel, any other militia or state military or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're probably not very happy about the federal military at this point, given all that. So there's a good chance they will.
Yeah. So here's another thing, right? Let's just say Biden has the ability to push a button and federalizes the National Guard of Texas, right? And then that National Guard goes, no, go f*** yourself.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting moment.
How much damage do you think that'll do to the power of the presidency?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't it be hilarious if this is all a psyop to take Trump's power away so they can just let him sail into office, but he can't do anything because the states have already devolved all the power back into a confederacy? It'd be crazy.
That would be interesting, but I think if they were to do that, it would be the opposite. I think they would allow him the one moment of clearinghouse, basically. As long as he does exactly what he's claiming he wants to do, I don't think they're going to have any issues, consenting to whatever he needs done.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if they devolve into state by state power and then Trump gets into office, well, suddenly they don't mind the federal government anymore. I expect. Yeah.
But as he's dissolving government power, like I think the Department of Education is one of the ones that's on the chopping block.
Yeah.
From Vivek, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the ATF and the FBI are the two other ones that are known to be.
Well, he reforms the federal government so that it's worthy, and then they want to support it again. Yeah, Vivek laid out a bunch of things that he would ask for or demand if he were to be VP, and I think he is going to be VP. So I think Trump is probably going to agree to all of them. So pretty much everything that Vivek has advocated, I think he has a clear path to get that stuff done as VP.
Yeah,
which is really encouraging.
So I think So again, we have the state elections coming up at the same time, right? Those state elections are going to decide how much power Trump actually has. Again, because Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, all these Democratic governorships that are like purple, to some part, this election cycle could flip all of those, and we could see Trump having enough sway in both the Senate and House to just ram through all of the protectionist, populist policies that Vivek wants.
Yeah.
While Trump is, getting his revenge, because I don't think Trump is going to be the one masterminding a lot of these things. I think it's going to be Vivek.
I think the more I think about it, the more I think Vivek is an ideal VP, and I think Trump's probably realized that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll be really excited to see what Trump actually gets up to. A lot of leeway there. Wait. Yeah.
I just can't wait for the salt to flow on the internet.
Oh yeah.
As he's passing legislation after bill after bill.
Yes, exactly as bad as it was in 2016, but multiplied. Like, as I say, it could be everything 2016 was, but times 2.
Yeah, but here's another thing, right? Remember those Podesta emails?
Yeah,
and they were game planning what would happen if Trump won 2020. How they would break up away from the union with the coastal states of Washington, Oregon, and California.
Yeah.
I want to see whether or not they try to pull that trigger. Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
That'll be exciting.
It'd be an Uno reverso of this currently going on.
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, we try to crush that Texas rebellion. Oh shit, Trump won. Let's secede. Oh, they're coming in with
if they try and do that,
why are you doing this?
Because the expression "there is no blue state, only blue cities," I think it's probably true, pretty much.
Correct.
It's California, Oregon, and Washington. They are all blue, but most regions, most counties are red. Almost all counties in those are red. So if they try to break away from the US, that might, especially after the rest of the US is celebrating and laughing, and the economy's already everything's going well, and then suddenly these cities try to drag their entire rural populations away. you might see the rural populations not very happy about that. You might see the rural populations try and do something about it.
Well, the thing about the water rights, if California breaks away, Nevada holds the Hoover Dam, I believe.
Okay.
They could just cut off water to California if they really wanted to, secede.
That would be cruel, but kind of poetically just, I guess.
Well, think about this, right? That's groundwater. That's not ground. That's above ground water. That's rivers, right?
Mm.
Do you know where all of the farmers get their water? From the water table. Because California made it by law that they cannot use any of the river water to plant their crops or water everything, because if they want to take all of that river water for the cities.
Very nice. It's like China taking the water from all its surrounding nations just to feed its population with.